New Thinking Aloud is presented by the California Institute for Human Science, a fully accredited university offering distant learning graduate degrees that focus on mind, body, and spirit. The top.
Oh, they cut it off. Okay. And then in just a moment, I will share my screen and I'll go ahead and share it now just to get it queued up. The countdown clock timer, and just a couple minutes we'll press start.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that, there we go. We are going to have a beautiful live stream today. I see Rick meditating.
Yeah, there's beautiful saints and masters that often attend and guide, but like a good coach, they don't lift the weights for you. They show you what to do.
Right on schedule.
Excellent. We had many applicants who wanted flower readings, but Emmy and I felt that we didn't want to rush it, and we thought it would be good to bring the person on Zoom with us to interact with you for a few minutes. So we've just limited it to three. But there was so much interest that I'm sure we could do this again if you felt like it.
Are you kidding? I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Yay, I was hoping that would happen.
Uh-huh.
It it's one of my most favorite things and probably one of the most exhausting. But yeah,
Mm.
this is wonderful.
Well, I can well imagine people tuning in to the archival video. They're going to hear this conversation. So
Hmm.
uh, they'll probably be happy too.
Yes,
Well,
lots of these.
as I was saying to Emma, flower readings have probably been done for centuries, another form of psychometry.
Hmm.
But when I first happened upon it, I thought this is a fantastic way to offer the reality of a higher order of our being,
Hmm.
that we all have these abilities.
I don't know if you knew this, but there was an organization up in Northern California, called the Berkeley Psychic Institute. One of our
Yes.
hosts, Deborah Katz, went through their training program, and they do something. It's not really a flower reading the way you do it at all, but what they do is they train psychic readers to visualize a rose for each person they're doing a reading for, and the way the
Oh,
rose looks is how they do the reading.
lovely. I mean, there's all kinds. There was a woman by the name of Mother Sarita, had 13 children. One of them, Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote, the Four Agreements. And she would do these things called egg readings. And she would have an assistant roll a raw egg around your body, not breaking it, but
Uh-huh.
roll a raw egg. And then she'd break it into a glass of water. And how that yolk and whatnot sat was the information she was to give. I'm sure there's a million ways to do this.
Yeah, I never heard of that one, but
No, that's the first time I've ever heard of it.
I thought
well,
you, I thought you were going to say that each person was asked to bring an egg, and then she would read the egg.
No, this was a one-on-one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my graduates was her assistant because she only spoke Spanish. So she would translate very rapidly. And
Oh, fascinating.
yeah, yeah. But you'd be amazed at how many different types of flowers people would bring. Like I said, in the days before Skype and Zoom, we only could do them in person.
Hmm.
And just think of one person brought a section of a giant bird of paradise. It was probably 15 inches wide and probably weighed I don't know, 8 pounds.
Big. Like it's like its own little creature.
People have brought plastic flowers. One person brought a 10-inch long sprig of broccoli.
Mm,
So yeah, it's all different. And some people, like I said, in the days before Skype and Zoom, they would mail their flower. One of
mhm.
the first flower readings I ever did in Vancouver, Canada, one person mailed their flower from Toronto to the flower reading and worked out fine.
How fun and what
Even the
interactive way.
pictures we have are very different. I've gotten all kinds of pictures submitted. I'm sorry, Emmy, I was talking over you.
That's okay. Maybe I was talking over you. I was just going to offer that it's a very nice interactive way for people to be a part of it. And I know, Rick, you asked the participants today to meditate on or with their flowers to help with that
Mhm.
connection. Or what does that do? How does that support you in your process?
Well, it's more for them than it is for me. The fact that they held the flower and meditated on it helps them to get into a little bit of a deeper space. But sometimes there's humor. I remember picking up one flower was kind of a lily, and I kept hearing shit, 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 shit. I heard it 11 times. So at the end of the evening, I asked who brought this lily, this multi-stem lily. Woman raised her hand. I said, "Why did I hear this word?" She says, "Well, because when I was getting ready to come to the flower reading, I started nipping off little pieces, and I didn't like what I got, so I said shit, shit, shit." So so you get all kinds of impressions of people. Some people are like this, like, okay, give me a reading, but don't be too good at it.
Of course,
So
that's the
and I,
whole fear of sight.
and and I just ignore that and move right around it and nail them anyway. But like we talked about in preparation, I'm always very appropriate because I realize I'm saying something in a group setting. You can't just say anything you want, but you can say enough so that it's relevant and useful. I'm more of a how-to than a gee whiz type. I'm more of here's what's going on and why. Here's what you can do about it. Here's how to go about doing it. Because then that person walks away with a tool given to them through anonymity. I don't know who I'm reading for, but if they go, oh my gosh, there's something there, then that might cause them to think, well, okay, maybe I could look into this. Maybe there's more to this. Self-empowerment.
Right, and also it helps people connect with nature. I was contemplating that today when I was out in my own garden picking a few flowers for today, that connection to nature is paramount to who we are as individuals, of course, spiritual
Hmm.
beings having a an earthly experience.
Hmm. Of course. Yeah, I was out in my garden this morning as well. I got a late start this year because of so much going on. We moved our wellness center, but finally got my garden started, and that's a great meditation too.
We have been, my wife and I lately have been watching a number of documentaries about trees and plants and the earth itself and how the earth is electrically charged. That's why so many appliances have to be grounded because, so that the any extra current goes down into the earth instead of frying the appliance like if there's a lightning
Hmm.
strike. But grounding and the connection with nature and with the earth affects the whole human bioelectric field.
Hmm. Yeah, documentaries about the fungi beneath the trees in a forest and how the trees can communicate with each other and release certain forms of immunity to disease. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful how much is being revealed to us in this era. It's a very exciting time, even though there's a cacophony of stuff going on out there as well.
In fact, I just saw an article. I only caught the headline just this morning about fungi in the human body. It implied that we're full of fungi, and there are many
Oh,
beneficial effects from it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Mhm. It's like not only are we psychically permeable, but physically.
Well said, Professor. Yeah, good to clear and cleanse your energy field. So many schools that teach, they don't teach enough skills in clearing the field after doing any kind of work. I'm appalled at the number that are out there doing that. So I'm always teaching people to maintain a clarity about the energy field, especially after any kind of energy work.
Hmm. Like doing a reading.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You don't want to take on anything or take anything home with you that's not yours.
Hmm.
So again, in a flower reading, when I'm doing some healing work, I'm always very careful as well. Um, because this type of work is not just the body, it's mental, spiritual, and emotional. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Ready or not. I'm gonna get, oh, back here. Oh, I just thought, there we go. Stop the share. Now we're ready. Oh,
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jeffrey Mishlove, host of New Thinking Aloud. I am with my co-host, Emmy Vadnais,
somebody.
and our special guest for the day, Richard Jelusich. We're going to experience flower readings together. Emmy and I have selected three of our active volunteers to receive flower readings. And of course, our guest of honor, Richard Jelusich, who is the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the California Institute for Human Science, will be conducting the flower readings. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. I'm still chair. Oh, it's so wonderful to be with you once again. Did you want me to go into a little 5 minute so
Please.
flower readings began in 1992 when I was going through a spiritualist ministry. And the idea was people would anonymously put a flower on the table. So when I would pick up a flower, I would have no idea who brought it, which was the whole point, is that when I would do a reading for that person, I don't know who I'm talking to. I just have to go on faith that I'm trusting what needs to be said to that person for what I call their highest and greatest good is what is said. And then afterwards, I would offer the flower to the person that brought it, and they could accept or not. So that evolved into flower readings, group settings, where as many as 14 people in the old days would come physically before the days of Skype and Zoom. And I would do a flower reading for each person, about 9 or 10 minutes, plus some healing work, because I do a lot of energy medicine work. And then at the end of the evening, I would say, okay, did any of that feel like you? Does anyone want to reveal which flower was theirs? And there's humor there because sometimes no one wants to say anything. And other times I had this group of women in Calgary, all Italian, all related to each other, and they couldn't wait to ask me questions afterwards. So the point of flower readings is I put myself at risk. I don't know who I'm reading for. And at this point now, we just have it on a screen. I'm not even holding a flower. I'm looking at photons leaping off my laptop at me, right? So the idea is, why should I teach you faith in your intuitive faculties if I don't have faith? So the idea is to help the person realize their own intuitive faculties are not only functional, they're always there. They're never not there. And the idea is to start trusting your higher sense perceptions, which would reveal to you a higher order of awareness, not just based on five sense perception intellect alone, that there's more to it than that. So it's to get a person to self-empower and start asking really relevant questions about the truth of their being. To me, our spiritual nature and our physical nature are just two sides of the same coin. It's one coin, but it has two aspects simultaneously. And, when you start telling people about that who may be muggles or non-magic users, and they become incredulous, and what else were you smoking? So flower readings is a great way to break through and help the person realize. And there's another thing going on called co-creative conscious collaboration, where our spiritual nature is creating a flower reading. So Dr. J, doesn't have to be me, but Dr. J could come along and say, okay, well, here's what's going on. And then the person goes, oh, but they may not never realize that their own spirit helped to co-create that moment.
Very beautiful.
Well, if we're ready to begin, I will present the first flower. And
Here we
I'm
go.
I'm 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 smiling because I think Jeff's more excited than I am.
here it is.
Okay. Okay, those look like anthuriums. Or cyclamens. By the way, I have to warn you two things. Number one, after 33 years of flower readings, I'm not a botanist. I'm not going to know the Latin names of all flowers and pick one and say this is a Synapsis interruptus. And sometimes you may experience pain during a flower reading as I attempt humor. Okay. All right. So let's just, this person, in fact, I'm going to keep track of my time here. This person was a little apprehensive about doing flower readings. Like, what's he going to say? Is he going to reveal too much? What's he going to say about me? Because this is getting recorded and I shouldn't worry about this. I don't want to worry about this, but I might worry about this. So this person's mind is operating pretty quickly, pretty fast. In fact, they have what is called a prescience. Prescience means to get a little bit ahead of yourself, think about what you're thinking about, what you're thinking about, what you're thinking about. So it's highly possible that they are more prominent in the fifth chakra, which is this one here in the throat. In Sanskrit, it's called Vishuddhi with a V, like Victor. And that can cause, through its main psychic ability called telepathy, it can cause the mind to become fairly rapid and therefore a little bit more difficult to ground. So, you might be in your head a lot. And I'm not saying it doesn't make you a loving, kind, and decent person. I'm just saying it feels like you're more predisposed to planning and theorizing and maybe even philosophizing, like people like Khalil Gibran and the Prophet and others who wrote some very deep and incisive thoughts about our humanity. So the deal is all seven chakras are working. They're all on. They're never blocked. They're never closed, but they are conduits of consciousness. So one of the reasons I'm saying this is because initially in a flower reading, some people might say, oh, just working on my body. But there's four aspects to who we are: mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. Each chakra is a conduit of consciousness that is you, conduits between levels of yourself, the astral and the causal, but yet working to merge those aspects. So you are some kind of philosopher, teacher, educator. You're some kind of a person who would not, well, you're not necessarily the most patient person on the planet, but you are a kind of a person who will not stop maybe halfway at trying to understand something. You'd probably want to understand it from soup to nuts. And I'm shutting my eyes a little bit so I don't get any visual input from Emma or Jeff. And let me take a look at the rest of you. Okay, your second chakra is the sacral chakra. It's called Svadhisthana, which means the home of the original self. That chakra is a little bit weak. So that's not a good or a bad word. But fifth and second chakra work well together. The fifth chakra articulates, the second chakra sees the big picture. But you are not seeing the big picture right now. And I think you're being a little harsh on yourself for having what is called expectation that you should know the answer. And so Vivekananda was a really cool saint. And he said things like, The cause of all of our misery is anticipation and expectation. Blessed is the selfless soul who neither anticipates nor expects. So, if your fifth chakra, as I'm working with you, and thank you very much for going first and getting the waters going today. Um, you can have this prescience that says, well, I should know, and I get ahead of myself. And so the second chakra, when it's weak, it offers what is called the energy of the mystic, which is to be able to know how something could be as whole and complete. Doesn't have to be people, it could be things, events, animals, plants, doesn't matter. But when it's weak, there is this expectation that you should know something. So what do you do about it? How do you get the complementarity of the fifth and the second chakra to work together? For you, it's going to be things like grounding, getting your feet on the ground, and you're a shallow breather anyway. You tend to breathe very shallow at the top part of your lungs. So breathing as though your lungs extend down to your belt line is one thing that also engages the lower chakras. Doing things that would be otherwise inspiring to you. And I'm not saying intellectually inspiring, but more kind of passion, because Khalil Gibran said, reason and passion are both important, not just one or the other. So sometimes a person as yourself, who is otherwise very spiritual, and I believe you're a very godly person, can fall into this, I'm supposed to know, I should know, and then, be happy that you do have quite a broad acumen of something. It's just not that you know one thing, you know many things very well. But when the second chakra is weak like this, it can also cause thoughts of self-validation, self-worth, abundance, things like that. Doing things, to repeat myself, that put you in inspiration. I mean, you can even play with the word in a silly way. In spirit ray shown, you're shown an inner spirit ray. But doing things like Emma was speaking this morning about tending her garden, what a beautiful thing that is to connect yourself with nature. And the thing about nature is we are not connecting with nature. We are nature. We're as much nature as any blade of grass, but we tend to think of ourselves as separate from nature. So when you absorb yourself through your passions in the five sense perception to trigger your inspirations, that will then start balancing out your rapidly processing and well-tuned mind. Okay. Let me see how I'm doing for time here. Want to use your time. We're
You
about
have about
six.
4 minutes left according to my clock.
Okay, thank you. So being a minister for over 30 years, I can't prescribe or diagnose, but I can point some things out. So you might want to take a look at your structure of your low back, the sacral area, the lumbar area, and also the urinary system, including adrenals. Adrenals are on top of the kidneys, and that's also a sign of a second chakra, with that expectation that you're supposed to know this, and kind of letting yourself off the hook. So I'm going to do a little bit of energy work here. I always ask permission within myself, to make sure that this is okay. And you're going to see me moving my hands a little bit, and there's nothing to it with my hands, but it's a way that it helps my mind to understand the articulation of the energy that's flowing through me. And remember, you're just healing yourself. That's all it is. I'm only a conduit. I'm not doing the healing. I'm allowing that, whatever you want to call it, the divine power that flows through, that facilitates your divine blueprint to do its thing in that co-creative conscious collaboration, that your spirit created this moment with me so that you could facilitate a more of a balance in this way with your fifth and second chakra. Okay, so let's just get into that a little bit. And because you tend a little bit, if you could just breathe and pretend that your lungs go all the way down to your belt line, you'll find the increased oxygen very useful. I know, there's a little bit of humor. This is called Sushumna. It's a main channel of light that goes up and down through the lenses of seven chakras. And it's a little bit slow going through this chakra here. This is called Ajna, or sixth chakra, which means command. And so the result is talk to Jeff and Emma later today and see if you have a lot more clarity in your thinking processes. The Sushumna has a pulse, much like your blood or your cranial sacral, and it can be adjusted. And some of our audience is holding their breath a little bit. So if you guys would mind breathing more deeply, you'll also find the oxygen very useful. This is what is called Shoshu 10 or circular breathing. You're also very helpful and you're on the edge of your seat wanting to help me, but just relax and let me do my thing here. You just relax and receive. I know you're always thinking about what you can do for others. I'll leave you in light, say thank you and bless you. And just reminding everyone that I could read for hours on any flower. And keeping it down to 9 or 10 minutes is just a summary of what I feel is the most pertinent information, most relevant.
Well, thank you so much, Rick. And the person who provided that flower is one of our volunteers. His name is Pablo Giralda, and he's from Argentina. And we will bring him into the Zoom room now to offer you some feedback. And maybe Pablo has some questions that he would like to follow up with
Sure. Oh, yeah, sure.
for a few minutes.
Mhm.
Here he comes.
The
Hi,
mystery
everybody.
man.
Hi,
Hi,
Pablo.
everybody.
Hi,
Hi,
You
Pablo.
got the
Richard.
wa- you got the waters going right away.
Yes, yes, it was the first one. Uh, thank you for that read. It was the first time I have such a reading or anything like that. It was really fun and nice. I did take some notes. It was a lot of information. I I guess you get m many things right or all right. I don't know. It was too much information. Um,
Well, I only have 10 minutes and I make a recording because my theory is that when you listen to the recording later, it'll reconstitute and reinforce everything I've said. So that's kind of like my fire hydrant approach to taking a drink of water.
but yes, you were right about the being apprehensive. I was the first one, so I really was apprehensive. It was I was waiting for it, but you were right on target there. I just realized I was I had to breath more deeply. I tried to do that. Um, and And also, you were correct. I'm a computer scientist, so I do work with my head most of the time. So I'm I'm in my my thinking space for my day to day. So you were absolutely right about that. Um, and you mentioned the two chakras, right? The
Mhm. The, se-
fifth.
the second chakra, the one below the navel,
Oh, okay,
sacral.
okay. And
I mentioned that it was weak.
okay, and how can I make that chakra stronger?
Um, Breathing exercises, circulation of light, which is called Shoshuten or microcosmic orbital breathing, and with Jeff and Emma's permission, if I get your email address, I'll send you an exercise
Okay, great.
on
That'll be awesome.
circulation of light. Also, anything that gets you out, we've mentioned nature 3 times now, anything that gets you out in nature where you're not
Mhm.
thinking. I'll give you an example. You're sitting on a park bench, you're looking at a meadow, there's 1,000 flowers and ferns and birds and bees and lake and water and clouds. How much effort does it take to behold all that beauty? Or do you go 9,364 flowers, average humidity is 82%?
It's
You see my
it's
point?
Yes, yeah, yeah, I understand. I understand.
He's a
Yes,
computer
just to,
Yeah.
scientist. What is he? What else should he do?
yes.
Well, hence the point. I mean, even Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you will bump up the strength of your second chakra, you won't have to think so hard.
Great. That's awesome. And 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 I have another question, if I may. Um, in general, how can I improve my intuitive side or my intuition in general? Being a person who is really focused on the thinking side, or the left side of the brain.
Sometimes it's so simple we miss it. It's more like that metaphor of beholding the meadow. It's how I teach my practitioners. You become receptive and you let go of expectation. For someone who uses their mind as much as you do, I know that may seem daunting, but that is the spiritual juice. It's called the feminine principle. It means using the power of the will to allow instead of push, to allow your intuitive faculties. It's just like me. I'm doing the same thing here. What have I got to go on except a flower on my screen? I allow myself to have the information I need in service to you. Same thing for you. You give yourself permission to allow your intuitive faculties to grow by doing things like a walk in the park, beholding the meadow. Because at first your mind's going to go, okay, I've been sitting here 11.8 seconds and nothing's really happened and I'm really not getting anything. Yet, Sogyal Rinpoche talked about that. He said, the sun has rays and the ocean has waves. It's just like the mind to think. That's what it does. But just like the waves upon the ocean have very little effect upon the entire mass of the ocean, so also can you sink down below the waves of your thoughts into that beautiful beholding, allowing experience instead of pushing, and you'll get great results. I would suggest you get back with Emma and Jeff maybe in a week or two and just say, here was my experience. Here's what I learned.
Great. Awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you very much,
Oh, it's my
Richard.
pleasure. Mhm.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
going
Emmy. Thank you,
first,
Steph.
Pablo, and for being
Thank you. It was an
vulnerable
honor.
to let the world see you because we all see ourselves in each other and we're all learning together.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Before you jump off,
Pleasure to meet you, Pablo.
Jeff, is there something you
Good to
wanted
meet
to
you.
say to Pablo?
Actually, I just want to make a tiny, tiny little correction. It's Emmy, not Emma.
Oh, that's okay.
Emmy, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Although, Rick, you're so intuitive because I'm actually named after my great grandmother, Emma. So maybe that's why you naturally call me that.
Oh no, sometimes I mess names up. And I have to go, I'm sorry, what was your name?
And Rick,
Thank you,
beautiful job.
Jeff.
It sounds like it really resonated with you, Pablo. Did it see? And I know you need to kind of be with it a little bit more. It sounds like
Yes, yes,
Pablo.
yes. Yes, yes.
So, and one thing too is I'm doing energy work. So over the next 3 to 5 days, things can come up. So I recommend three things. One, maintain spiritual practices. Two, drink lots of fluids, hydrate the body. And three, rest. Rest does not mean this. Okay. Rest means tranquilo.
Yes, yes, yes. I know. Oh, great. Great.
So good
Thank
to
you.
be
Thank you
with
very
you,
much.
Pablo. And I also just want to say to everybody listening that Pablo is a fabulous person and one of our strongest volunteers at New Thinking Aloud. And you help translate or help with the closed captions. You help in so many ways we can't say right now, but just know he's a big part of bringing New Thinking Aloud to all of you. And we are very grateful to you, Pablo. So thank you.
I'm very grateful to be part of it, and honored as well. Thank
Pleasure to
you.
meet you.
Yeah, not
Pleasure.
that you bring an international dimension to what we do, and have been
Great.
very helpful in connecting us with some of our colleagues who are Spanish speakers.
Yeah. Yes.
So good to see you, Pablo.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you
Bye,
later.
everybody. See you
Bye
later. Bye
bye.
bye.
So, Rick, before we go on to the next flower reading, can you say a few things about the process that you go through in terms of uh, tuning in?
Well, first of all, there are many, many types of intuitive faculties. So I always tell my students, trust the way your faculties work for you, because I might be visual, someone might be kinesthetic, someone might be empathic, but all intuitive faculties go to the same place. So for me, chakras on the higher levels have what is called colorless color. There's really no green, red, blue. There's more kind of a presence. So what I'm looking for in my short 10 minutes that I have is what is most pertinent today, what's most important for Pablo to know, and how can I say that in a way that conforms to the nature of his character in this lifetime. So I'm always constructing a way of saying things that I hope will have the greatest impact on that person.
Yes, for their highest good and greatest joy, I would imagine.
Yes.
And that dovetails into a question we have. Can we go ahead and ask a question, Jeff? Okay, so this is from one of our viewers. Her YouTube name, or maybe real name, is Lisa Wonderful. And they ask, what shall I focus on going forward, which will serve my highest good?
Well, I assume I have permission to read her, and it's really second chakra is about self-worth, validation, abundance, abandonment, abuse, things like that. But the second chakra is ever evolving, self-unfolding, always creating. So tapping into that infinite amount of creativity. Creativity means bringing something from nothing. So doing any exercise that allows you to bring forth, I use the word passion for Pablo in his second chakra, is the same thing. Whatever ignites your passion. Like Yogananda said, if you really are doing what you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime, you are meditating. There's no need for meditation because you're already doing it. So I take this person to be a very passionate, more viscerally connected person through their five senses. And so do that. I mean, I don't care if you hang tires on cars all day and you love the smell of vulcanized rubber in the morning and the gun that goes. I mean, if that's your passion, then get into that and get into the love of what you do. And then the second chakra will continue to flower and offer you opportunities. And what's the key word? Faith. To trust that your second chakra is doing as it is.
Something you said that really struck me, and I agree with you, Rick. We are nature, and I know going out in my garden, it just, or other times I'm outside, it reminds me of that connection to nature that we are certainly a part of, as you use the word behold or beholden. And
Mhm.
I think that that's a really beautiful word for being in the present moment and taking in what your experiences are. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about that. That really struck me.
It takes no effort. Imagine you're learning energy medicine, like the kind I teach, let's say, and you've got someone on a massage table and you are addressing their seven chakras. Well, where do you start? It's the same thing as beholding the meadow in the feminine principle, where you're looking out at this expanse of possibilities, which is the person's character in this lifetime. But all of a sudden, a blue jay flies across your vision. So something will show itself to you as you are in what I call beholding the meadow. And then you follow that. And that's where the faith and the trust and the intuition takes place, is that beholding takes no effort, because most people try too hard. They're trying to force it to happen. They're doing the forest for the trees. And if we just step back and give your permission to be excellent at what you do, you will achieve amazing results.
You mean,
You're muted, Jeff.
there you go. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Well, now we will take questions from our viewers after each reading, but I guess what we can do at this point, I don't see any yet, so we can move on to the next reading, and I will key up the flower in a minute.
While he's doing that, Rick, do you want to? I know you mentioned this, I think, a little bit in our preamble before while we were doing the countdown clock timer. Anything else about these flower readings or what helps you prepare or how you feel you're receiving this information?
I usually do a prayer beforehand um, to, set my intention for those people's highest and greatest good. But I've been doing flower readings for 33 years, so some of it just becomes automatic, and I can kind of get into that state pretty quickly. Um, I hope that answers your question.
It does, yes. And it looks like Jeff put up the next flower for you. So,
Okay, this is a beautiful orange flower, and I was wondering which one of these three flowers would be the skeptic. Um, and skeptics are my favorite people because they will ask the questions that must be asked. And we're living in an age that was predicted by ancient people. I've taken people to the land of the Mayans many times over the years to study their cosmology. And they knew there would be an age called the golden era of intertransformation where we would be accelerating. So, for instance, if you look at our progress of civilization going further in the past 60 years, in the past 600, there's a rapidity by which things are evolving themselves. And this person here with this lovely orange flower, I must say, it does look like you held it and you said a very gentle, beautiful inward prayer. So that lends to your third chakra's veracity and the intensity by which you, in this lifetime, whoever you are, endeavor to be authentic in whatever you do. So, having said that, the incisiveness, which is the main ability of the third chakra, is the one that says, okay, what's the bottom line? Who's the guy behind the curtain? What is the thing revealed? What is the essence? What's the bottom line? So a skeptic is a person who will say, okay, all right, I hear that, but I want to know the truth revealed. Well, there's two sides to that coin. You've incarnated in an age where our capacity and capability to comprehend higher orders of awareness is now much more prevalent than in the last 26,000 years. On the other hand, there can be a lot of challenges when you have a lot of unanswered questions. And so, my advice to you before I even really get started here is to have you ask those questions because those are the ones that need asking. And the way that you really help others in this lifetime, that goes for Emmy, for Jeff, for me, is we keep evolving ourselves. Because as we do so, as Yogananda said, those subtle energy vibrations go out to the entire universe. They don't just stop at the wall or earth. It is whatever is created and whatever is beyond creation, two sides of the same coin. So I will be a little bit more blunt here and say I think you're a very godly person, and I never patronize. If I feel it and I have permission to say it, I will. But the downside is sometimes the questions don't get asked yet. It's like urging your flower bud on to bloom, but it hasn't bloomed yet. So again, you might not also be the most patient person on the planet either. Um, but at the same time, the third chakra gives you this incisiveness to be able to see things more as they are than as they appear to be. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, because sometimes if you search for the truth hard enough, you might just find it. The old saying that the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. Because sometimes you'll find something like, I was looking, but I didn't know I was going to find that. So if you are a volunteer on New Thinking Aloud, you're in really good company. Jeff, when I first interviewed with him, was at 193,000, 183,000. Now I believe we're 195. And I'm doing everything in my power, and I don't patronize to help Jeff also flourish in what he and Emmy offer and all the volunteers offer to the public, because this is the type of resonant information that is needed to help us flourish in that level of comprehension that we are now capable of achieving. If this was 200 years ago, it would not be, but now it is. So, what does that mean to you? Here's the hard part. The third chakra, like any other chakra, is consciousness. It's you. But the third chakra will set up dilemmas or conundrums in your life where you have to choose between A and B. And you're thinking, oh no, if I choose A, then what about B? If I choose B, then what about A? I don't know, because you're in an emotional confusion in your life right now. You don't know what to do emotionally. And so what you do is you choose A.2, A.3. In other words, you ask yourself, what am I feeling now? I is you. Feeling now pulls in all of your power across space and time into this moment. And then you make your decision known, but you can do it in a non-confrontational way. Imagine Jeff and I are probably old enough to remember the days when phones were corded. And you might say something like, well, my sense is a white phone goes better with things than a black phone. That's my sense. What you just did is you offered your opinion, but you didn't tell the other person what to do. You just said, my feeling is. That's a very respectful way of asserting yourself. And you're in a place right now, frankly, I love you, but you cannot afford to do otherwise. It's really important for you right now to assert the veracity of your moral and ethical code in a loving way. But again, like if I walked up to the Dalai Lama and I said, Mr. Lama, I will happily follow you if you just change two of your principles. And he'd look at me and he'd go, oh, no, I cannot. That's probably the nicest no I've ever heard in my life, but it's still no. He's not going to give up his truth for me. So I'm asking you to do the same because your third chakra is strong and it's obvious that you have either spiritual training or you've done many types of spiritual practices. You've probably mastered many types of spiritual practices, which is major cool, but they all lead to the same place. So if you're in an emotional conundrum, as now, what am I feeling in this moment? What am I feeling now? And you follow that inner authenticity because that is the way you help others. 95% of all communication is not verbal or physical, it's energy. So as we shift our beingness to a much more grounded, much more powerful constitution, it may piss people off. You may lose some friends, but in a way, by standing your ground and in your truth, you are helping everyone else, including things like NTA or anything you involve in, whatever the karma is, whether it's parental, familial, social, work related, it doesn't matter. It helps everything. Let me take another look at you. There's some more stuff here. Okay. Circulation of chi in the body is not real even, especially in the legs. So accomplished acupressure, acupuncture could be of a lot of help. Emmy, you do energy work too? Emmy would be a
Yes,
good
yes.
source.
Oh, thank you.
Emmy would be a good source. Excuse me for talking about you in the third person, but she is very, very gentle, whatever she approaches. So you don't need to be hit over the head with a big thing, but you will react well to subtle changes in your body. I'm talking to this orange flower person. So people that are accomplished at helping you adjust the flow of the subtle energy in your body will be helpful. Because third chakra can control things like the hollow and solid organs in the body, the hormones, the endocrine, the immune system, even the thyroid, metabolic rate, skin temperature, blood pressure, stuff like that. So let's get some energy work going here. Let's see if I can help you with that distribution of energy in the body. And again, this is the part that looks like I'm just waving my hands around, and I get it. If you've never had a flower reading and you're seeing some guy going like this, I totally understand what that looks like. Again, this is just the way that my mind understands what it is that I'm doing. Do I even need to use my hands? No, I just find it helpful for me. This is called an axial tonal alignment. This is something my students learn a little past halfway in their training. to align the chakras between dimensions. Think of it like taking the kink out of a hose between the physical, astral, causal body. I mean, you don't share so much with Pablo things you think you should know, but you are a very gentle, godly person who just loves the truth. So, a way to really make you angry would be to lie knowingly to you. That would be like one of your hottest hot triggers. Okay, just look at me, please. Thank you. Look over here. Thank you. That's better. I'll leave you in light with that. Say bless you and thank you.
Lovely once again, Rick. So nice of you. I don't think that Jeff and I knew that you would be also offering some healing energy, which is so
That's just
powerful.
part of what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we
Well,
go?
that reading was for one of our newer volunteers, Susan Fuller, who is in the Atlanta, Georgia area,
Mhm.
or in Georgia. I'm not sure if it's exactly Atlanta. And
Yeah, Atlanta.
is it? Okay. And Emmy is about to bring Susan with us we're communicating on Zoom. Our Zoom conversation is being piped over to YouTube. So here's Susan.
Hi, Susan. Good to have you.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Turning down the volume on the iPad. That was amazing, that reading. Yes, it resonated with me, and that's funny. When Richard asked me to look at him, I'd had my eyes closed so I could feel the energy work, and that's when he said, "No, look over here at me." That really impressed me. Um, And he is absolutely right. When I saw that flower, I was driving through my neighborhood and I saw that a neighbor had planted all these flowers, these orange flowers along her fence, the front and the side. And I was just struck by the beauty. And I pulled over and I grabbed some scissors I happened to have, and I ran and I cut one. And I did a prayer and meditation at that time. So that was very much on point.
Very cool.
Whether or not I'm a skeptic, that sort of surprises me, but in the sense that I've heard Jeff mention what his definition of a skeptic is, I think I would align with that. I'm not someone who would come in to debunk a psychic or anything like that. And I've had some practice doing this sort of thing myself with different traditions. But I do look for the truth. And that
Yeah.
very much resonated with me. And yes, anyone who tells me a lie to my face, that does not go well. I would agree with that. It surprised me a little about the chi in the legs. I did have acupuncture a couple of weeks ago, but he was concentrating more on my digestive system.
Yeah.
But I also practice Reiki, or I'm trained to practice Reiki, and I do it and I don't do it, But yeah, I very much could feel your healing there when you were focusing on the energy work.
Cool. Yeah. The third chakra can affect the alimentary system, the one which is especially digestion. So the energy work is real. And I get what happens when people see me doing this. It looks like nothing at all is going on, but I'm getting too old to pull my punches. I know what's going on. But that's not important. What's important is that the person that I'm reading for can resonate with what they feel is truthful and then apply it to their lives. Self-empowerment.
Okay. Did you happen to see any beings around me or animals?
Um, well, the sun has been called Helios as one of the architects or archetypes, which is a very, to me, the sun is not a ball of helium and hydrogen. It's more like a chakra, and we've given it names. So I think you have a very huge influence in your life of that which is the relentless pursuit of truth, which includes saints like Yukteswar and Yogananda, who were real no-shit gurus. Animals, maybe a horse, but only vaguely. I'm sorry, I don't feel anything stronger than
Okay.
that.
Okay, great. Well, that's a lot to process for me. You did very much pick up that I do a lot of prayer and meditation, and I've
Yes,
been practicing that a lot. So I like that that came through. I mean, that shows me it's doing something. It's working.
you are a very godly person.
And
Well,
when
I've
you
never
say that,
heard.
yeah, what
I've
does that mean,
never.
Rick? Yeah. Sorry, Susan.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, what does that mean? And then Susan, you were going to respond to him. So my apologies for interrupting you.
You're asking me?
Yeah. What do you mean by somebody is a godly person? Because I think you said that about Pablo as well.
Yeah. When you read some of the writings of the masters and the saints, they talk about only concentrate on a God. In other words, to divest yourself of the rough and superfluous things of life that are only outward gestures. So by that I mean that, Susan, you are focused inwardly about your inner truth, um, the sanctity of your path, which is made holy by conscious intent to know the truth itself revealed. So that is how I see you. So to me, I use the word godly to imply.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't know that I've ever been described that way, but the way you explain it, I would
You know,
agree
you,
with that.
you know what you could do? You could take this part of your recording, right, and play it for someone who knows you well, like a dear friend.
Right.
And just through the discourse, maybe you can extract more. Well, that resonated and that doesn't, and of course, discard what doesn't resonate with you, but then consider what does.
Hmm.
And one of the hardest things we do in life in our third chakra is admit to our power. It's not whether we have power, it's whether we admit to the power.
Right. So you're saying my third chakra, I need to focus on that area more.
I would just leave out the word need.
Okay. I will focus on that more.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
And like Jeff and Emmy said, these are archived. You can play it again as you wish.
Well, I will do that.
Rick, are you
My pleasure.
suggesting for her to recognize her power? Is that kind of what you mean by what you were
No,
saying?
I'm saying I told you in your reading to use your power, to assert yourself, but do it in a gentle way. Get out of the conundrum of the confusion of some kind of emotional confusion that you're in right now
Hmm.
and assert what you feel is right for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you play it back, you'll hear all that.
All right. Thank you.
So
Thank you, Susan.
just bear in mind, I know this is being broadcast everywhere, so I can't just say anything I want, right?
Well,
I'm working diligently to be very appropriate and accurate.
okay. Um, yeah. I feel like I'm sort of an open book, but if there's something you really feel you should not share, that's fine too.
No, I did not mean to imply that. I'm just saying for general knowledge, I'm always very appropriate in a group setting.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Is there anything that I should contact you about privately that
I'll
you're
leave that up. I'll leave that up to you. Why don't you sit
okay?
with this for a few days?
A few days.
And
Okay.
then you'll know. And then you'll know.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
You two are fun together. I love it.
great.
Well,
Thank you so much.
that's that third chakra of hers. I want to know the truth. Is there more truth? I want to know the truth.
Right. I can't think of any questions at the moment. I probably will later, but
Sure.
okay. But this has been very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're so glad to hear that. We appreciate you being here, Susan, and also for all that you do with New Thinking Aloud as a volunteer.
I appreciate you having me.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.
I think some of our viewers may not have seen the previous interviews that we've done with Rick. And so when they hear all this language about chakras, they may be
Yeah, I
surprised
know.
because, of course, we promoted this particular live stream event as having to do with flower readings. So I'm getting some questions from viewers about what is the second chakra? What are you talking about? And
I
I
know.
we say we've done several interviews with you. Chakras is really one of your main areas of specialty, probably even more so than flower readings.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Through the flower readings, I do speak of the chakras, but that's why you'll hear me say, and the second chakra, which has to do with, and the throat chakra, which has to do with telepathy, so I do endeavor to explain a little bit.
Maybe it would help if we could define in general what a chakra is.
Mhm.
A center of consciousness for the flow of one's character through the three yoga bodies, the physical body mind, the astral body mind, the causal body mind, each representing an individuation. However, the only one that experiences time and space is the physical body. But the chakras are these conduits that flow the consciousness of an individual between dimensions. So as a person awakens spiritually, they start merging these chakras together as one. So when you see me doing energy work, that's my focus, is to help that person, as divinely appropriate, to merge their chakras to higher orders of awareness.
Good. Here's a question from one of our regular viewers, Andrei Slavash Krasowski, who asks, does it happen sometimes that a flower reading helps with intellectual problems, philosophical or scientific, that one struggles with and wishes to get some intuition how to solve it?
Absolutely and completely, because the chakras affect four archetypes, not just the body, but the mind, the way your mind even thinks, the emotions, and the spirit. So, for instance, the telepathy of the throat chakra can, when it's used to project the power from the throat chakra, can affect the way the mind even processes, the way it even works into higher orders of working. I mean, this is what, 33 years of doing flower readings talking.
That is a long time. And Pablo, who was the first person to have a flower reading, asks, I think, a really great question as well. How does a flower reading differ from a tarot reading or other intuitive methods apart from the healing part?
They're the same. Tarot are divided into four suits, swords, cups, wands, pentacles, which are what? The four archetypes.
Mm.
They're basically the same thing. So the person who is reading the tarot is looking into the character of that person in this lifetime and how they can develop that character. I haven't seen any relevant past lives yet in these flowers that I wanted to talk about, but that can and does come up.
Hmm. And it's interesting because the store-bought decks, for example, often come with a little book or a booklet. Sometimes they have whole books that correspond with it. So a person can learn how to give a tarot reading from that more intellectual side of what the card is supposed to represent. However, how I was taught, and it sounds like you're describing, and Jeff would probably agree with all of his research over the years, is to practice the intuitive method first. So if you're working with a store-bought deck or any kind of quote oracle card or angel card, to perhaps trust what impressions are coming before going and looking at that little booklet and reading what it's supposed to mean, although that can also add another layer of interpretation.
It has been said the way to give a tarot deck to someone is to cut off the periphery of the card, the number, the name, anything identifying, and only offer the image.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like James Wanless, Robin Wood, and Cosmic Tarot. Those are my three favorite decks, but they're probably ancient by now.
That's fun to know. Well, you're quite psychic intuitive, so you're using, you mentioned that the readings, working with flowers is like a form of psychometry. So you're really using an object or a visual image to help you tune into the person. Is that right?
With a construct. In other words, I've taught tarot to people and we have the deck, we have the cards laid out. Here's what's coming in, here's what's going, you kind of lay a framework. And chakras is the same thing. I'm looking at the framework of the four archetypes of the personality. And then I move into an aspect. Again, I only have 10 minutes, so I move into an aspect that I feel is most relevant.
Mhm, mhm. And when people privately schedule a session with you, are you still keeping it to 10 minutes or do you do longer sessions if needed?
A session with me is about 50 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And
I always record my sessions for everybody because as you can see, I cover a lot of information. But again, my theory is I only have you for 50 minutes. So if you have a recording, then at your leisure, you can go over it.
Mhm, mhm.
We have a question here from a viewer whose YouTube name is Hillbilly Herb, who says
I
when
love that.
it says third chakra, for example, Hillbilly Herb, that's a great name. Are you starting at the top, the crown chakra, or you're starting at the root chakra?
I'm starting at the root,
Mhm.
and then the second is below the navel, and the third is above the navel. The fourth is the heart. The fifth is the throat. The sixth is the brow center or sixth chakra or ajna, and the seventh is the crown.
I have heard, of course, in the Kundalini tradition, that's where the energy starts at the root chakra and works its way up. And I have heard other people suggest that can also start at the crown chakra and work its way down both directions.
Mhm. Yeah, well, the Sushumna you heard me
Mhm.
mention is something that can be modified in the way that it flows through the lenses of all seven chakras. And there's a lot of thought that the Kundalini rests at the base of the spine, but I think more it's a kind of an omnipresent thing. We're expecting to have a physical reaction to the Kundalini when I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah, and Rick, I don't know if this resonates because there's different styles of energy healing, if you will. I was trained in a form of Qigong out of China, and first and foremost, and we were trained that the energy coming up from below is the earth energy or the yin
Ah,
energy, and
yes.
from above is the yang, which of course
Hmm.
is like our rainbow yin yang logo of New Thinking Aloud. And that it's really that harmony where you were talking about this process is more of that feminine principle, which would therefore be yin, which is
You
fascinating.
know,
Yeah.
and it brings to mind a breathing technique that I teach called the Mayan breathing technique, which is, you breathe in from the heart of the sky through you and give out to Mother Earth, and you breathe in through Mother Earth through you and give out. So
Mhm.
it's, Father Sky, Mother Earth, or God and Earth, but going through you. So you're holding both the non-dual and the dual as one through you. Essentially merging the two so that there is no difference. You are it, it is you.
Yeah, exactly.
And
We,
I'm happy to share these techniques with you guys too, if you like.
Yeah, I would love to learn more.
as a matter of fact, I think you are anticipating the question that has come in from Lucia Amod, who asks if you can recommend a meditation to help with chakras.
The one that I learned from Dr. Hiroshi Motoyama, founder and first president of CIHS, the Shoshu 10 or the microcosmic orbital breathing technique is a very good general technique for balancing all seven chakras.
Mhm.
And it's very easy to do. It requires not much effort except for internal focus.
Mhm.
So I can share that with you if you like, and you can share it with your readers as you wish.
Mhm.
Okay. But
Beautiful.
I presume that it's too complicated to do right at the moment.
Well, what you would do is as you close your eyes,
Here we go.
as you breathe in, you bring energy. And now for men, it's usually up the back of the body and down the front. And for women, it's usually up the front of the body and down the back, but it's not a hard and fast rule. Either way works. So when you breath in, you're bringing the energy up the back of your spine, all the way up to the top of your head. And then you hold and then breath out and let it flow at its own rate down the front of your body. Because I'm a guy, it works better for me that way. And then when it gets to the perineum, which is where my legs meet my body, you hold. So there's a four-part breathing. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And 7 cycles would be a very good cycle. So you breath in, bring the energy up, hold at the top of your head, breath out, let the energy flow down the front of your body to the perineum, unless you're female, do it the other way. Hold, breath in, bring the energy up the back of the body. At the top, hold, and breath out, hold, breath in, bring the energy up, hold, breath out, let it flow at its own rate to your perineum. Hold, breath in, bring the energy up, top of the head, hold, breath out. Let it flow all the way down. Hold, breath in, bring the energy up gently, top of your head. Hold, breath out. Let it flow all the way down at the perineum. Hold, breath in, bring the energy up evenly, smoothly, top of your head. Hold, and breath out. All the way down evenly and smoothly to the perineum. Hold. Last one. Breath in. Bring the energy up to the top of your head. Hold. And then breath out. And resume your normal breathing. And for a few moments with your eyes closed, just to feel that beautiful circulation of light throughout your body, feeling everything in perfect point of balance. Whole and complete. And when you feel the moment is right, open your eyes.
Very nice, Rick. Thank you.
Wonderful.
We're ready for the third reading, I think, right, Jeff?
Okay,
We've got about 28 minutes left for those who are watching us live.
this is a real beautiful flower.
Oh, that's absolutely no information on that flower. No, just kidding. I
Try.
I told that stupid joke one time and I waited too long and the person said, "But I held my flower." So this is a stargazer lily. And as you can see in the photograph, if you could just leave it up for at least a minute and a half, there are several. And this person reminds me of a fountain You know, fountains are such beautiful things because they're always effusive, they're effulgent, they're always coming forth with this beautiful, ever-changing pattern, but always coming forth with water. So this person has a strong presence in what is called the heart chakra. Well, you know where your heart is. So we have a chakra there referred to as heart chakra. In Sanskrit, it's called anahata, which means uncharted or unbounded. And the reason for that is because the heart chakra has the profundity of that which love is, that is so deep, we don't know how to quantify love. Love doesn't come from this dimension. It comes from beyond space and time. But because we come from beyond space and time, of course, we feel its profound nature, but we have trouble articulating it. So this person is like a walking poster for heart chakra, which main intuitive ability in the heart chakra, which we all have heart chakras, is empathy. Empathy means to be able to discern the purity or the love. I use love and purity interchangeably. And it doesn't have to be in a person. It could be in a thing, a place, an event, because intuitive abilities, runs all of creation. So I I feel that this person, while they are enthusiastic, shared a little bit of Pablo's tentativeness, like, I hope he doesn't reveal anything, that he shouldn't reveal. Of course, I would not. But there's also an oxymoron that we use sometimes called the terrible greatness, which is the dweller on the threshold or the dark night of the soul. It's what psychologists call the annihilation of the soul. It has to do with the fear that we really are as great as our intuition is telling us. So, one of the lessons that you're learning in this lifetime is not whether you have these profound emotional feelings, but how to articulate them. Some people with strong heart chakras like yours, they will become an artificer of stone. They'll become a musician, a mathematician, an architect designing an externalization of the heart chakra's love, so that when people look at that building, they go, oh my gosh, that building just makes me feel so deeply. This is a way to create an intermediary device that communicates the profound nature of that which love is. So, what happens when you incarnate in a lifetime where you are a functional empath, or what some people call high functioning sensitives, right? Like Dan Benor wrote books about this. And how do you navigate when your heart chakra is so strong and yet so sensitive? Like the student comes to me on day one, says, Dr. J, I can't walk through the food court without feeling everybody. I said, well, yes, your heart chakra is working just fine, but it's not cultivated. Think of it as going to the gym. On day one, you go, oh my God, I don't know how I got through that. But what happens if you do your bicep curls for 10 months? Well, two things happen. One, obviously, your bicep is stronger, but number two, it's toned. It's toned. It's ready to handle what's next. So I'm thinking, but I don't want to overwhelm you because you already have so much on your plate. Okay, I'm going to take a chance and just offer this to you. It's called the water release technique. And basically, what you do is water is very good at conducting emotional energy. So, um, whether you shower or bathe, imagine the water is magnetic. You know what magnets do. And imagine this water pulling out of you as appropriate any thought form, any negative thought form, feeling, or emotion that's not yours to carry. And you just feel to yourself, release, 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 because you're not a visual person. You're a very auditory person. And the water goes out the drain goes into the earth transmutes it to neutral energy. Can't get to a shower or bath, then just put your hand under flowing water from a tap, release, release, release. Or if you're in a room with no water, drop a hand to your side and imagine water flowing over your hand. You can do this exercise as many times as you like. It's like cleaning a lint filter, but what it does is it relieves you from carrying emotions that are not yours to carry. Heart chakra tends to control entire systems. And even though you have 7 chakras, my sense as I sit with you today is that your heart chakra is stronger. It's like calling you right-handed. There's nothing wrong with your left hand. You're just using it more. So as you do this water release technique, it will help you reach more of an equanimity, a more of an emotional balance in all of the things that you do. Um, and the other thing too is you are a very nuanced person. It doesn't take much for you to feel deeply, but sometimes we underestimate our intuitive faculties and we try to push too hard on a door that opens inwards. So this is where that feminine principle can help you a lot too, is like a dear colleague who since passed, Barsati was her name. She said, first hit, best hit, which means as you trust what you're getting in the nuance, that's going to be your best bet. So as far as I was wondering which one of you would have the strong past life. So you led a past lifetime in the eastern part of England, bordering the North Sea, and you were in some kind of a fair that had books to be read. I don't know if you wrote the books or if you were attempting to get people to read the books, but this is another form of communication. So in this lifetime, you are still known as a communicator, but you worry that you're not communicating enough. So this is where the nuance comes in. Let's take a step backwards. 95% of all communication is not verbal or physical. It's energy. So can you make someone understand something? Could you force them to understand? They have to put themselves in a position where they're available to understand. So this is where healthy emotional boundaries come in. Even monks in monasteries have great big doors on their monasteries for a reason. They're very, very harmless beings like you, but it's difficult to expect people to grasp the profundity of love that your heart chakra represents in this lifetime. So sometimes this can be like, oh, what am I doing? I don't know if I'm getting it done. I don't know if I've got this right. Let go of all that. You're fine. You are intact. You are completely intact. So think about the water release technique. Think about how you can externalize ways to communicate the profundity of the love you feel in your heart. And then the 95% is still radiating outward from you to all creation. Just lastly, allow something to come back. Give yourself permission to receive a part of the love that you offer to others. It's not all out breath. You are really wise to make the time and the space in your life to let people love you as you love them and to acknowledge it. Oh, Emmy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for offering me support. And thank you so much. That's you acknowledging that you're as worthy to receive the profound nature of love as you are to give it. Then you are that muscle that is both strong and toned, so that the next time there's an exigency in your life, you go, okay, I know what to do about this. Water release, let myself receive love and support from others. Don't try to do it all myself. Okay, I've got a way to do things now. Okay, let's do a little bit of energy work with you. Like I said, there's so much information on each flower that I could talk for hours. Can you imagine flower readings for 12 people where I'm sitting there for 2 hours with my eyes shut? That's what I was talking about. I love this work, but it's the single most exhausting thing I do because it's also the energy work. Okay, your head is slightly off its axis a little bit, which can give you some kind of neck stuff going on. And heart chakra controls whole systems in the body, muscular, lymphatic, skeletal, skin, all of that, vascular. And this is just my research. I didn't get this from anything else other than many, many years of doing this work. A little bit of work in the lower abdominal area of your body. And I'll leave you like that. Thank you and bless you. It was about 11 minutes.
Thank you, Richard. That flower was submitted by one of our volunteers, Elizabeth Lord, who has also been a guest on New Thinking Aloud. She is, as you surmised, a writer. She is also a board member of the Rhine Research Center in Durham, North Carolina. And Emmy will bring Elizabeth on now to offer some feedback.
Hopefully she'll join in a moment. She is not, I don't see her in the waiting room yet, but I just sent her a little text reminder and hopefully she'll be joining us. I happen to also know that Elizabeth does have a big heart and she is very caring and kind. And she has shared with me, I actually interviewed her on a book she wrote about young people being able to have psychic abilities, sort of like a Hogwarts or
Oh,
a, a school for people to develop their abilities. And when I was interviewing her, she was sharing with me that she reads so many books, but she listens to them on audio. So I know you're accurate. And here is Elizabeth. So I'm going to let her in, which is great. Oh, did I just let her in? I hope I did. Yep, she's coming in now. Interviewing her, she was sharing with me that she reads so many books, but she listens to them. Oh, Elizabeth, you might want to oh, good, you got it yourself. You might want to turn off what you were just listening to. Great. Welcome, Elizabeth. How are you?
hi,
I'm
Elizabeth.
fine, thank you.
Good to see you.
Glad to be here. Oh gosh, my webcam, sorry.
Oh no, we can at least we can hear you, so that's good.
Yeah, I told you it died on me yesterday.
Mm.
Well, at least we got to see you for a few moments if you want to. How was that for you?
Oh gosh, was that on the nose? Yes, I have always been empathic and I have had to work diligently on not feeling too much. And I have recently been working on releasing my responsibility about the empathy that people who don't want to feel or need help from me, I need to step back. I don't need to push, as you said. Um, and I do have an issue with the chakra in my throat. I have damage to my cochlea in both my right and left ears. And I've been trying to figure out some energy healing to deal with that because I feel like I can't do my work. I can't speak with people. Um, I'm a natural teacher and I want to teach, but I can't hear what they ask me. So I struggle with hearing issues. Um, I also struggle a little bit with, as an autodidact, without formal education. I'm with so many amazing people who I feel a little intimidated by.
That's not
But
important. That's not important.
so
Um, Tell me, was your cochlea a diagnosis?
yes,
Hmm.
it started about 10 years ago on the right side, and I've only got 20% hearing left in the right side. And last April, I lost hearing in my left side. I have hearing aids in both ears, and there's no diagnosis, or excuse me, no etiology for why. Uh, I visited with a pretty famous ENT, and he's struggling to provide any real reason why the cochlea would just, in a matter of minutes, fail. So I feel pressure, and I feel like when I release the pressure, crown, top, down, um, it seems to help. So I'm thinking I'm having some issue with blockage there. Um, I also have injury in my back in the sacral region. That's what you're probably feeling. Um, so
Well, yeah, and the heart chakra can be myofascia. Um, I forget. There's several things that can happen to the musculature of the body, but again, it controls whole systems. Um, yeah, so we could talk offline about the cochlea.
that would be great. But I also feel a strong desire to communicate with folks. As you said, it's really
Hmm.
huge. It's
Hmm.
overwhelming sometimes.
Hmm.
So, uh, and I'm pulled in many directions, all by myself. I'm not, nobody's forcing me to do this.
Well, as I said, you look up the word heart chakra in the dictionary, there's a photo of you in there.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
But you got to take care of it, develop it like a muscle, right?
Yes.
Be in that equanimity and use the water release technique.
Okay.
It uses the power of the will to let go of what's not yours to carry.
Yes. That that my mother called during this live stream. It's as if she knew. And she is one of my challenges to let her live her life. And as an 80-year-old
Mm.
woman, um, I worry about her, but I let her get in touch with me when she needs me and I don't push. But it is hard. It is hard.
But doable.
Yes.
And let yourself be loved by others.
Yes. That's a
Don't
struggle of
don't
mine.
don't don't hence the point. Don't just do all the loving, but leave your heart vulnerable to be loved as you're loving. That includes your contemporaries here on the screen.
Thank you. I struggle with that. I've had a few people harm me. So opening up to accepting love from others is hard for me.
Khalil Gibran, when Al-Mitra said, "Speak to us of love. Love has the wings that would lift you to great heights, although hidden among its pinions is the sword that may wound you." And yet, I would say, spread your wings, you must.
Yes, that's my hardest task.
Communicate. Let people see your wings.
Oh, I love doing that.
Yeah. Isn't it a great idea, Jeff, starting with volunteers?
Well, I'm so happy that we were able to bring three of our volunteers into the Zoom room to interact directly with you. And as I mentioned before the program began, we've had many, many more requests for people who would like flower readings. So I think if you're willing, I think this is something that we should try to do periodically.
Happy to.
And the other point I know you made, and it's worth emphasizing now as we're getting closer to closing our program, is the purpose of sharing these flower readings with a large YouTube audience is to let other people see that they can do it as well.
Mhm. We all have these abilities. We all do. It's just in most of us, they're just not cultivated, but they are there and they're totally functional.
So if some of our viewers were inspired to engage in the flower reading practice, how would you recommend that they begin?
Well, it's an interesting question. I generally offer how to do flower readings to people who graduate from my integrative chakra therapy practitioner course,
Mm.
which is not overnight.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain safety factor involved in doing energy work long distance. The other person's safety is number one priority because most people and I don't mean this in any insulting way, but most people don't really know what spiritual energy work is. It's not a bad thing. It's just we're still learning. And we have much more to learn. Oh, there's your camera. Nice to see you. So could I? Oh, look at you. Yes, Dr. Motoyama. Yeah. So yeah, there's ways to teach it. I do have monthly flower readings that people can sign up for. We've got one coming up, I think, on August 12th. They can do that through the website. And I'm always open to questions, but your question about teaching people how to do flower readings, I could create a course in how to do that, but it would not involve the energy work that I do.
Because
There has to
they're
be
separate.
what well, it's what Dr. Murayama called the safety way. There's ways to do spiritual work that are appropriate and safe. Um, yeah.
But we will post a link to your website on the description of this video so that since you're doing the flower readings regularly, in any case,
Mhm.
viewers who are interested, and I see that we're hearing from many viewers who would like flower readings, they can go to that website.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Elizabeth, do you have any other questions for Rick? We just have a few minutes left of our live stream, so I just want to make sure that you feel like you've gotten what you want with Rick here for
Especially
today.
since we can see you now.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, dear. If you want to unmute yourself.
I, I, we tested all this yesterday, but it seems like everything just wants to fall. No, I had my main issues are, as a communicator, not being able to hear effectively is disturbing me the most right now. So that is the one thing I really want to work on. And it's good to hear somebody reinforce my empathy and telling me and guiding me with some ways to make it a little less hard. Especially in this world right now when everybody's angry with one another. This is not something I can cope with well.
Yes.
Hard for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, stop, everybody. We need to
Think
love one
think of
another
it
right
this
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
think of it this way. As Pablo with his strong throat would be more physically grounded, you're working on being more emotionally grounded and letting go of what is not yours to carry.
right.
That's so important because that can lead to infirmities in any of those four archetypes.
Okay.
I just want to take a moment and share with our viewers your book.
Oh, he found the cover. How nice.
Thank you.
And there's an
I,
interview with this about your book on New Thinking Aloud as well with Elizabeth Lord. Calliope O'Callahan and the Psi Syndicate.
yes, she is a telepath, and her mom was working as a medium, and she would travel around to different places reading people, say fairs and whatnot. So her daughter was sitting at her knee watching her do her thing. And now she's working with an organization called the Psi Syndicate, which is an amalgam of places like the Rhine Research Center,
Mm.
IRVA, all of these organizations that study psi. And they're trying to both train people on how to use their intuition through lucid dreaming, telepathy, mediumship, etc., remote viewing,
Mhm.
and also using them as a resource for society. So she's starting to learn how to utilize her skill, and by so doing is helping a young girl named oh gosh, come on.
Calliope.
Um,
Isn't it Calliope?
Amber, named
Oh,
Amber,
Amber. That's right. Okay.
who has been abducted. So their stories will
Oh,
converge
wow.
by the end. In the second book, I'm working on it, and I hope to have that out by the end of the fall. So,
It's a great read. I've read it, and it's not only great just for adolescent people, but I'm an adult and I enjoyed it as well.
Thank you, Emmy. I really appreciate that.
It's true. I did.
It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, both ebook, and you can order a print copy. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us, Elizabeth. It was great to have you here, and it's 3 for 3, Rick. You did really a beautiful, accurate job with everybody, it seems.
Thank you. I love to do so.
And also, I just want to say thank you, Elizabeth, for your wonderful service to New Thinking Aloud. You've been contributing for many years and have also contributed to several of the books that have been published and have helped proof and review and edit many of those manuscripts. So
Well,
we,
if anybody is interested in becoming a volunteer, it is one of the best things you can do. You learn so much. And they're the two most
Mhm.
beautiful people I've ever been with are Emmy and Jeff. So please, you guys, if you want to
Can't
volunteer,
beat
if you're
that.
interested, go
we
ahead and go to newthinkingaloud.org and go to the volunteer button, and you will get more than you give.
Oh, that's so sweet. Elizabeth, I feel the same about you. You're so sweet and kind and so great to know you.
Thank you.
All
Well,
right.
Nice to meet you.
indeed. And Richard, it's once again been a great pleasure to be with you. This is our second live stream. And I hope we have you back not only for live streams, but for regular interviews as well. I know we haven't even mentioned your books or your work with the California Institute for Human Science, but all of that information will
Mhm.
be available in the description associated with this particular video, which will be available as an archival video permanently on our website, on our YouTube channel.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah. I just loved all of it. I'm so grateful we're going to do it again and we get to include more people. And I just have one last burning question for you, Rick. And all the time that you've been doing flower readings, which is 33 years, how many people have worn a dress with a flower on it? Do you see?
Oh, that's lovely. Um, I would have to say you're the first.
I do love
And
flowers.
that includes Japan, Germany, Switzerland. Yeah. I would say you're the first.
Well, I just love
Yeah.
the mashup of
Lovely.
flowers. Thank you. Flowers and intuition, and so lovely knowing you, Rick. And yeah, next time we'll get you a pair of these as well.
Well,
And then I'll say, this is how it's really done. You need these.
Yeah, to be able to see.
thank you, Emmy. Thank you, Rick. And for those of you who are listening or viewing, thank you for being with us because, as always,